Hi Aries, welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for April of 2020. We've got news for you about Mercury, which is moving really fast this month, and Venus, of course, and Mars, of course, which is staying in the same sign all month, and we've got new and full moons. Hey Julia, what's up with the relationship planets this month for Aries?
Cool. Well, Jamie, and hey, Aries. So I'm going to talk about Venus, which is the planet of relationships and the planet of art and the planet of beauty too. And on April 3rd, so at the pretty early in the month, Venus is going to be entering Gemini, which corresponds with your third house. So the third house is the house of communication, and it's also the house of siblings too. So after she moves into the third house on April 3rd, she's going to stay there the entire month. So that's going to be a really great transit if you have any challenging conversations that you really need to have with somebody, because Venus is a very peace-loving planet, and she also rules diplomacy through her rulership of Libra. So that means that in any of the conversations or communications you have this month, it's going to bring this peaceful sentiment to any negotiations you need to make. So that's a good time for doing it. And since the third house also correlates with siblings, if you have any siblings, this can be a great transit for getting along well with them. Now, the next planet I want to talk about is Mars. That's the planet of action and activity. And Mars is going to be in the sign of Aquarius, which is your 11th house all month. Now, if you remember from our video last month, Mars just entered the 11th house at the very, very tail end, and now it's here to stay for the entire month. So Mars, being that planet of action and activity, wherever we have it is where we feel very driven. And the 11th house is the house of hopes, wishes, and dreams, which means your long-term goals in life. Those are the goals that you have that take 10, 15, 20 years to come to fruition, like maybe buying a home one day or something, or maybe opening a business. So you're going to feel extra driven during this transit to accomplish your long-term goals. Now, wherever we have Mars is where we might be a little bit prone to conflict as well. And the 11th house is the house of groups. So that includes all of your friendship circles or any other groups you might be a part of, which could be anything from professional associations, sports teams, or recovery groups. So with Mars there, you might also be a little extra prone to conflict, maybe within your friendships, or feel a little extra competitive with them as well. And the last planet I want to talk about is Mercury. And like Jamie was saying, Mercury is moving super, super fast this month. So it's going to go across 3 different signs throughout the entire month. So at the beginning of the month, Mercury is going to be in the sign of Pisces, which correlates with your 12th house. Now, the 12th house is the most secluded house in the entire zodiac, and Mercury is the planet of communication. It's the planet of thinking. So being in such a secluded, hidden house, it might mean that you want to keep more of your thoughts to yourself than kind of share them with the rest of the world. It also means that some of your best thinking might not come through strict logic, because the 12th house is also the house of the subconscious as well. So you could be getting messages from other channels besides the logical ones, maybe from dream states or meditation states as well. And then Mercury is going to enter the sign of Aries on April 10th, and that correlates with your first house. The first house is the house of self. So you're going to be embodying that Mercury energy for about 17 days until it moves into Taurus, which I'll get to in a moment. So from the 10th to the 27th, of April, when Mercury is in Aries, you're going to become a lot more well-spoken. You're going to be able to kind of express things a lot more easily than you were able to when it was in the 12th house earlier in the month.
You might even be more persuasive, right?
Oh yeah, no, great time for being persuasive, for sure. And then when Mercury enters Taurus on the 27th, that's going to correlate with your second house of values. It's also the house of money. And since wherever we have Mercury is where we're kind of putting our mental attention, you could be thinking a lot about how you can kind of earn more money for yourself, as well as kind of thinking through your values as well. And what else is going on this month, Jamie?
Well, there are some moons that I want to talk about. Particularly, there is a full moon on April 7th in Libra. Here's the moon in the 7th house in the sign of Libra, and it's hanging out with Juno, which is retrograde right now. And if you saw our video about Juno Retrograde that we put out back in February, then you already know that this is a time of relationship retrospective and it's still going on. And so that mood is going to be a part of this moon, and it falls in your relationship house too. So there's a really big theme of feeling into what's fair in my relationship. How do I negotiate with my partner? How do I find that balance? Is this the right partnership for me because of how it balances or doesn't? So that's really going to sort of be a part of the mood of this full moon. Now, people usually experience a moon, like a full moon or a new moon, for about the 3 days surrounding when it's exact. And this one has very strong relationship themes. Themes of balancing the needs of the other against the needs of the self. So, and then there is also the new moon, which comes later in the month on the 22nd, and that's a new moon in the sign of Taurus. And you'll see that right here, the sun and the moon together. The moon is actually just about to move into Taurus right there. And you'll see that a part of this new moon is that it conjuncts Uranus, the rebel and revolutionary, which is in the very stabilizing and consistent and solid sign of Taurus. So if that's not an oxymoron, I don't know what is. The revolutionary in a sign that wants of things that want to stay the same. And then this squares Saturn, which is also a very sort of grounded, earthy, conservative, rule-making kind of a planet, which is in Aquarius, the sign of rule breaking that Uranus rules. So we called this moon rule making versus rule breaking because those are the themes that are really a part of this new moon. Now, new moons are times of planting seeds for the future. They're times of endings being swept away, new beginnings unfolding. And this particular one, being in Taurus, is in your second house. And so there may be seeds planted in your finances. And some of those seeds might be radical seeds, seeds of change, seeds of where you ask yourself, what are the ways in which I've always followed the rules financially, and what are the ways in which I'd like to innovate, do something new, strike out in a new direction, think outside the box financially. So, so this new moon could bring some interesting new ideas and changes to your financial picture. And just in time for tax time, isn't that right? Don't get too innovative now. I think that's what we have for you today, Aries. I hope you enjoyed it. You can always find our horoscopes on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, organized by month for your viewing pleasure. And we have a horoscope page on our website, pandoraastrology.com/horoscope. And you might or might not know this, but the ladies of Pandora Astrology are available for readings with you, and we'd love to meet you. If you wanted to get a reading, probably the best choice, since there's a lot of activity through your first couple of houses in your chart, would be something that puts the focus squarely on yourself. For example, just a plain old natal and transit reading where you can ask all the questions that you want, or really a birthday reading, because isn't it about time? Yeah, so we will see you next month and all around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.